Noodles, are you ready to tell them some boring story times about you? You want to just hang out and tell stories? Let's do it. Oh, thank you. Okay, come here. Come here. Hello, come on. Come here. Hello, puppy. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, or to it if this is the first time you're seeing me. This is probably the first time you're seeing Noodles. This is my family dog, Noodles, and I have borrowed her for the week. But we're going to get into that a little bit later. But I did a video sharing some of the silly stories about our family cat, Dave. So I'll leave that in the description box below if you want to check it out, because he's a silly, silly little cat. But I figured while we have Noodles here, we can do some story times about her and some of our other family dogs. This, again, is definitely a tame and mundane Storytime Snippets. We're just going to chill, maybe have a couple of chuckles, but nothing crazy. I have a few more crazy ones coming out. This one's more if you just like hanging out with me. So grab your tea, grab your coffee, and like this video if you enjoy it all the way through. But let's get into some of these Storytime Snippets about little Noodles here. So the first story time is going to be about our little Noodles here, and it took place several years ago in my parents' house when I was still living there, and I think it was still while I was in college. So Noodles here, we call her a needy Noodles because she's probably the neediest dog on planet Earth. You always have to be looking at her, otherwise she'll call for your attention, scratch at you. She's looking at me now being like, why aren't you looking at me? I'm sorry, I have to look at my friends first. She follows you around, she gives lots of kisses, and oh no, there's a cricket. Oh, there's a cricket in my apartment. I don't want to get up. That's all right, it's just a cricket. So needy Noodles always just would like to sit and stare at you, to the point where if you're sitting there watching TV, she would just like to sit and look at you. And back in this day, I was very obsessed with Just Dance on the Wii. I played it religiously. I still know all of the dances by heart to this day. And so often, Noodles would grab a toy, sit down in front of me, and just watch me play Just Dance. As I am going hard with the Wiimote, she'd be right there cheering me on, being like, yes, yes, queen, get it, get it. Ain't that right? Aren't you my hype woman? That's right. So there was one day, I was at my parents' house playing Just Dance, as you do. It's great cardio, okay? And it's fun. So I'm rocking out to probably like Rasputin or something, and Noodles does her thing where she grabs a toy and she sits in front of me and just starts staring at me. And she has this toy in her mouth, and so I'm not really looking at her because I'm watching the screen trying to memorize this dance. But she sets her toy down, and in my peripheral vision, I notice it kind of starts to move a little bit. And so I look down and I realize it's not one of her toys, it's a baby possum. And so I yelp, I scream, and I go, Noodles! And then I just start going, Dad, Dad! And as my dad comes running down, being like, what? I look up over and I was like, Dad, Noodles brought in a possum. The possum was playing dead. It's a thing possums do, go figure. I thought she had killed it, but right as I started yelling for Dad and my dog had set it down, this possum goes and runs underneath our couch. And so I was like, oh my God, it's alive, it's alive. So my dad comes downstairs and he like grabs a box and he's like, all right, we need to get it. And I was like, I'm not doing shit, man. Good luck, I will supervise from afar. I was probably like in the kitchen, sitting up on the counter holding myself up in case it started scurrying or something. So he's like, all right, pull out the couch, pull out the couch. So I'm like so carefully pulling out the couch, and this poor possum started pooping everywhere because it was so terrified. Again, it was just like this little baby possum. And meanwhile, Noodles is still just chilling off in the corner being like, you're welcome for my gift. I caught this for you, you ungrateful bitch. What the heck? So my dad's able to corner this baby possum and get it in a box, and it's in the box and he's holding it. And Noodles is still just going crazy, like, woohoo, woohoo, party time. I brought all the gifts, you're welcome. He goes and he releases the baby possum back, not in our backyard, but on the other side of the wall where we hope his little possum family was. Luckily, I don't think Noodles hurt it or injured it or killed it because it was more just terrified and scared and playing possum. But a few months later, Noodles did bring in a dead one. So this little girl here is unfortunately a murderer. I know I talked her up a bunch about being the sweetest dog, but she does have a criminal record. But I'll never forget that one time where I was just rocking out to Just Dance and she dropped a baby possum at my feet and said, "You're welcome." Another little dog story time that I have is from my dog that I had with my ex. This is a super quick story, but I thought it would be very educational because it still makes me laugh to this day. So she was like a German Shepherd mix kind of dog, and she was about 3 years old when we had her at this time, and she had 2 growths. Like on her shoulder, she started getting this weird growth, almost like a big cyst, and then she had one in the center of her belly. And they were kind of 2 different textures. And so we're like, uh-oh, one of these isn't good. Like one was almost like scabby and kind of hard. The other one felt like it was coming from the inside, almost like a tumor sort of thing. So we kind of started getting concerned because this one on her shoulder was growing, but then the other one, we're like, is this some type of internal growth? What's going on with our Pop-Tart? That was her name. So we take Poppy to the vet, and we're like, she has these 2 growths, like we don't know what to do. Vet takes one look at the bump on her shoulder and just goes, "Oh yeah, that's a cyst. I can pop that right now." And we're like, okay. So he pops it like a giant pimple, and like it bleeds and it pusses a little bit, but then he just cleans it up, puts some ointment on it, and he was like, "All right, you're good to go. Like nothing to worry about." And we said, but doctor, what about the growth on her belly? And he goes, what growth? Turns her over and we're like, this big giant bump. And the doctor goes, "Oh, that's her belly button. She just has an outie." And I don't know why it never occurred to me that dogs have belly buttons. I mean, it makes sense. That's how anatomy in the womb works. But I just thought it was so funny because she had an outie belly button, and it was such an outie that I thought it was a concerning growth in her stomach. So check your dogs' stomachs and see if they have belly buttons too that are outies, because I was alarmed, but I guess I'm just dumb. I guess I lied because this next snippet isn't about a dog. It's still about a pet, but I have another Dave story time that I wanted to tell because he tried to murder me recently, and so I wanted to tell you guys about it. So if you don't know about Dave, my cat, go watch the other video. We have a love-hate relationship. I love him, I would die for him, but I can't stand him. He is like that rude, annoying roommate who like never takes out the trash, never does the dishes, but will come at you and be like, "Hey man, can you Venmo me $2 for the gas that I drove you to drop you off at work?" That's what Dave would be in human form. So one day I was at my parents' house visiting, and I went into the garage because I've been on the hunt for my old record player in my parents' house. It's kind of an inside joke at this point because I have searched every crevasse of that house and I cannot find my old record player. And side tangent, I don't want a record player. I want my record player. But I can't find it. And so I don't even want a record player unless it's my old nostalgic one that I used to listen to Grease records on with my sister in 1999. So I decided to look in the garage one day. So I let in Noodles and I let in Dave, and I was like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna go explore the garage if you guys wanna come hang out with me," because they like doing that. So they come in the garage and they're just sniffing around going crazy. And I start pulling things down from the garage. You know, we have some old furniture, we have some other like shelves in there that I was looking in. And so as I'm doing that, you know, Dave's kind of weaving his way into these new areas that he hasn't been in, and I'm keeping my eye on him, making sure he doesn't get in too deep or too stuck. So I put everything back, and now they're just like in the main part of the garage hanging out, but they're just vibing, you know? I put on some music, some tunes, we're having a good time. So I go and I grab the ladder because we have these like shelves up top. There's probably, you know, better technical term for that. Overhead storage? I don't know. Let me know if you guys work at Home Depot. So I grabbed the ladder and I was like, all right, maybe the record player's up here. So I go up to the top, and I'm kind of looking around and I need to get up a step further. So I go up to the top shelf and I'm looking, and it was too deep in there for me to really get in and start discovering things and really hunting for this record player. So I was like, if it's up here, I'm not gonna be able to reach to find it. So let me start getting down. I take one step down from this ladder and I hear a yelp and I feel something soft. And all I can do is just grip the top of my ladder, which is now shaking at this point because I was so startled. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I grip the top of my ladder and look to see what I stepped on. You guessed it. It was this dumb little cat who decided it was a good idea to climb this ladder with me in hopes that I would grab him and toss him up top so he can explore this new area. But no, this dumb cat decides to climb the ladder and I step on him and almost fall off this 10-foot cliff of a ladder just because he was curious. Curiosity, oh my God, curiosity really almost did kill the cat. Or in this situation, the curious cat almost killed me. So I wanted to tell that story real quick because be careful when you're climbing ladders, because I don't know if Dave is that nefarious and was trying to injure me, or if he's just that stupid and selfish that he's like, what are you doing? You son of a bitch, I'm in. Let's go explore. So Dave almost tried to kill me on the ladder. And the last little story time snippet I'll tell is about this little girl here and how we got her and why she's here with me now. So my family has always had pets in the house. We've had 3 dogs, 2 dogs, 1 cat, 2 dogs, like there's always animals in the house. And each sibling kind of always had like their pet. And I had a dog named Baxter, but then when I went to college, Baxter passed away unexpectedly. And I was devastated because at this time during college, I was still going home a lot. I think I was at home 4 days out of the 7 during college because I was lame. I think my next video is finally gonna be the video about why I hate college. So stay tuned for that. So I was seeing my dogs a lot and I was devastated that my dog died. So after like a few months of mourning and grieving, I was like, okay, Mom, like I wanna get another dog. And my mom's like, all right, let's go shopping. So we always do rescue pets, shelter pets, or taking pets that need to be taken in sort of thing. So by shopping, I mean I was going on Pet Harbor and looking for little shelter dogs. But I wanted the perfect one. I didn't want to just pick any cute dog and be like, that's the one. I needed good vibes. I needed a small little curly dog because that's my type, I guess. But I also just wanted to make sure that it was the right dog for me. So I'm scouring Pet Harbor for weeks and I'm like, no, none of these are right. Like none of these are the exact dog. Go online one day and I see a little dog named Mama Mia. She was matted. She had hair all down her eyes. You could barely even see her pupils. She looked sad. She was in a little cage. But I looked at that photo and I felt her aura through this photograph and I said, Mom, that's the one. Let's go down and meet her. So we go down to this shelter and we say, hi, like we'd like to see this dog, Mama Mia. And they're like, Mama, what are you talking about? And I show her like the Pet Harbor online listing. I was like, this dog. She goes, how'd you find that dog? That dog hasn't even been out for viewing in our kennels yet. She's been in a crate in the back hallway for 2 days because we haven't had enough room in this shelter to put her out for display. But okay, if you found her online and you want to see her, absolutely, let's get you to meet her. So they take us into this little room. Noodles is the most skittish, terrified dog I'd ever seen in my life. But she was just a sweetheart. Like she would come up to you, kind of put her nose to you, and just started like resting on you. And I was like, this is the dog. This is our dog. We took Noodles home. She was about a year old at that time. Again, matted, smelly, but we couldn't even give her a bath for like a few days because she had just gotten fixed. But she was the most amazing dog from the get-go. She is without a doubt the most cuddly, lovey, loyal lapdog our family ever has, and we all love her to pieces. However, as I was going off to college and she was getting attached to my mom, but not only my mom, but my dad, the other pets in the house, having a doggy door, having a yard, that when it came time for me to move out of the house and I was like, okay, I want to take my dog, my family was like, no, absolutely not. She is the family dog. She is comfortable here. She has all of her other pet siblings and the family here. You can't take her. And I didn't really put up a fight. I wasn't like, no, I'm taking the dog, dumbass. No, it was kind of like, that is what she got acclimated to, and I didn't want to take her out of her comfort zone because she had gotten so used to the house that it was unfair to her to take her, which is why I moved out with my ex and we got a new dog. But I went and I visited Noodles so often, I still always considered her my dog. I got really jealous when she started considering my mom her mom. But that's okay because I still loved her so much and I would go and visit her. So in the recent years, it was always Noodles, Daisy, and Dave. And Dave, again, is just like another roommate. He didn't really care. And when I moved out on my own, I was always like, can I take Noodles just for the weekend sort of thing? But we couldn't separate Noodles and Daisy. So Daisy recently passed away, unfortunately. She was our other family pet. She was about 13 years old and it was just her time, but it was a really sad time. That was several months ago, but now that Noodles has that detachment from Daisy, I was like, hey, can I take Noodles for a week? Because my mom's going on vacation and she's gonna be all sad that she has nobody to follow around. So I was like, let me take her for the week. and she can keep me company. And my parents were like, all right, here's her food, her toys, her bed, have fun. So this is where the story time part kicks in, because now we're in fresh real time. So Noodles, for the record, is like, I think 11 years old. So she's double digits. So I bring her home on the first night and I'm like, all right, Noodles, this is where I live. This is where I go off to when I have to leave you and say goodbye. I come here. Welcome to my humble abode. So she goes and she is walking around, sniffing everything for like an hour, going crazy, being like, oh my gosh, new surroundings, where am I? What is this, a beanbag chair? Oh my gosh, you're so cool. And I was like, thanks, I know, right? So I wake up in the morning. She wakes me up at like 7 because that's what schedule my dad is on feeding her. So she wakes me up at 7 so I can feed her. And I was like, all right, Noodles, like we gotta go potty. Let's go outside for this nice long walk. So I bring her back to the apartment. I give her a busy bone and I tell her, all right, Noodles, I have to go to the gym for an hour. I signed up for a gym class. I'll be back in an hour. So I go to my gym class. I'm getting out, pull out my phone from the locker, and I have a text from my neighbor. And it says, oh my gosh, are you hearing this? And my stomach kind of drops because I'm like, well, I hope it's not Noodles. And I text him back, I hope it's not a dog because I have a dog in my apartment right now and I left for just an hour. And he texts me back, yep, that's absolutely it. And so at this point, I'm panicking. I sprint from my gym back home. And so she seemed fine. So I put her on the collar and I go to take her for another walk. But I go and I knock downstairs on my neighbor's door. And I'm like, hey, like, is everything okay? And he was like, she was barking so hard that I thought she was hurting herself. And she was crying and howling that I was actually getting concerned. And so I was like, what the heck? Like, she never does that. I've never heard her howl. And when she barks, it's just like when the Amazon delivery driver drops off packages at my mom's door, which is probably every day now. But I was like, oh shoot, I shouldn't have left her home so soon. Like she hasn't gotten her bearings down. She's still a little scared of the outside. Let me tucker her out a little bit more because I work tonight. So I go and I take her for an hour-long walk. We're rotating between running, walking, doing sniffing, which is really good to mentally tire them out. We come home and I'm actually exhausted too. So we both take the sweetest little nap together on my couch. We're both napping, having a good old time. And we wake up and I was like, all right, let me test her because I do have to go to work tonight, but now that she kind of has a feel for the lay of the land and she's tired, let me just test her. So I put on my shoes, I put on my backpack, and I go, okay, bye, Noodles. And I close the door, and then I just sit outside my door for about 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes, this little girl is scratching so hard at the door, I thought she was going to burrow her way out like it's freaking Alcatraz. She starts this gut-wrenching howl like I've never heard her before. She sounded like a human crying and wailing. And then the barking started with interspersed howling that I couldn't take it. I couldn't pretend for more than 2 minutes before opening the door and giving her so many cuddles and hugs because she was that upset. And I felt so bad because I'm like, Noodles, I didn't know you had that much separation anxiety. I knew you were a needy Noodles, but I didn't realize how uncomfortable you were being taken out of your environment and how me leaving for 5 minutes was that upsetting. Again, like we take her other places, like we'll take her to my aunt's house sort of thing. But I guess she just needs that constant attention that I didn't even realize how much borrowing her for the week would be so distressful for her. So that is why I'm filming this video in my pajamas, in my glasses, no makeup. I haven't even showered since yesterday because we're taking Noodles back. I'm taking her back home where she's comfortable, where she at least has Dave to hang out with, my dad to feed her. And so that way she's not in distress because I ended up having to call off work just to keep her company for the night. And I have a couple more shifts this week. And it's just not fair to her, nor to my neighbors to leave her alone for even just a few hours. So wanted to introduce you guys to Noodles while I had her here because she's still my dog and I was hoping for shared custody moving forward, but it just doesn't seem likely. I will say as a little epilogue, these past 36 hours I've had with her have been a really good eye-opening experience that maybe I'm not ready for a dog yet. You know, I had to take her out 3 to 4 times and it's cold in LA right now. She wasn't going to the bathroom and I was like, come on, Noodles, I want to go back inside. Let's hurry this up. While Noodles was here, I just wanted to tell some of those funny little Storytime snippets in case you guys wanted to share some of your funny pet snippets in the comments below. I love hearing your tame and mundane stories or your super wild, crazy dog, cat, hamster, guinea pig, ferret stories as well. So let me know. But this was definitely more of a casual, not that super crazy story time. But again, I hope you guys just like hanging out with me while I chit chat and while I'm planning for some of those other more crazy story times that are on their way. But that's gonna be it from us, from the Dream Team. Thanks for coming to visit me, Noodles. I had such a great sleepover with you, but it's time to go home. But we thank you guys so much for watching us and hanging out with us, and we'll see you in the next video. Toodles! Oh, my puppy. My puppy, you're just so cute. Fun fact, Noodles' full name is Noodly Poodly Build-A-Bear Doodly Chicken McNugget Tidbit Love Bucket. And that's a real thing. That's her full name, because my family is Caucasian and insane.